Alright, so nagbabalik tayo sa ating violin tips and tricks. And for today's video, let's talk about playing in the middle. Why does playing in the middle of the bow easy? And ano ba yung pros and cons, and why you should also learn how to properly play with your bow in the middle part. Yan yung pag-uusapan natin. So when we talk about the bow kasi, there are sections that we could divide the bow into. I think there's like 4 or 5 main sections, but let's first divide it in half, no? Pag dinivide natin in half, we have the lower half and of course the upper half. So, as we've stated before, the lower half would require less effort and the upper half would require much of the effort in order for us to produce a very consistent sound. Now, there is the middle part, no, of the bow. Let's say from half of the upper half and then half of the lower half. Itong part na to in the middle that we could call the middle bow, which is basically the easiest part of your bow to play it, no? Why? Yun yung mag-usapan natin. Kasi in the middle of the bow, you have less movement or less yung galaw ng ating arms because it's in a neutral position, no? Neutral in a sense that your triceps are not extended and your biceps contracted, or the same or in reverse na nakakontract naman yung triceps mo and your biceps are extended. So it's in a neutral position na madaling galawin. You require less movements, no? You require adequate movement naman when it comes to string crossings kasi hindi masyadong malaki, hindi rin masyadong maliit. So, kumbaga, the middle bow is the middle ground, no? So, nandun tayo, yun yung pinaka-average or consistently na magagawa mo. That's why, when you are starting out, diba, a lot of the pieces require you to play on the middle bow, no? Now, bakit napaka-importante na marunong tayo magpatunog sa middle bow, no? We've talked about in the previous video of using the whole bow just to understand how the bow works. Now, playing in the middle requires you consistent pressure. So, kailangan para mapalabas mo yung pinakamagandang sound, the best sound that you can on the middle bow, you have to apply consistent pressure. Because, again, we are in the middle ground, no? We are in neutral territory. So, we don't need too much, but we can't put too little. So, tatansyahin nyo pa rin yun, no? So, it would be easy for you kasi konti lang yung magiging changes, but it would require like adequate pressure enough. So, let's say, we'll play from here until here. So, yung pressure natin, almost isa lang. Almost, no? Of course, you would add more as you go into the middle, but into the upper half, but it will require just a little or minor tweaks lang yung kailangan natin. So for example, pag nag-open string tayo from here to there, the pressure that I applied, very, very minimal lang. But still, you need to apply. Versus if I go to the top, of course, I would need to apply. Kasi kung hindi ko i-apply yung kailangan niyang pressure, this is how it would sound. Mawawala na siya. Almost here, kung saan natin sinabi kanina. From the upper half of the upper half and then the lower half of the lower half, no? Yung kalahati ng kalahati. So this middle part is very, very forgiving, no? Kaya madali talaga mag-play doon. But we get into this habit of just playing there. That's why we also need to practice our full bow strokes para makapag-play pa rin tayo sa all over the bow. And the bow can offer you much more sound. Okay? Now, another thing to note is playing in the middle means you are playing close to the center of gravity of your bow. Although the bow doesn't have a center of gravity that is perfectly centered sa middle part of the bow. So, usually the middle as the center of gravity of the bow is found here. So, almost kalahati ng lower half. So that is going to be your starting point when you want to play on your middle bow. Kasi if you're gonna play middle, pag sinabi kasing middle, ang hinahanap midpoint, di ba? So ano yung nangyayari? We start at the midpoint. So kapag nag-play ka, nasa upper half ka na agad. So when you're playing in the middle and you're gonna do quarter notes, for example, you want to start at that center of gravity of your bow. So this is the optimal starting point when playing on the middle bow with long notes. Of course, kapag mahahaba, you have to start closer to the midpoint. But at the center of gravity of your bow, so how to find it? Again, you just have to balance the bow on your finger. Hanapin mo kung saan yung balance point niya. That's where you start. So this is the easiest part to make your bow jump. And it's the best or easiest part of your bow to control. Kasi nga, nandun tayo sa center of gravity. It will be easy to lift, easy to put down, no? Marami kang techniques na mas madali mong magagawa. Versus if I want to make it jump, for example, here at the upper half, you have less control. And in the lower half, you'll be too scratchy. So, sa center of gravity ng bow, yung magandang starting point. So, understanding how to use it. Even chords, no? Kapag nagko-chords ka na quarters lang, let's say quarters lang yung chords, it's easy to start here. So, again, it's still part of your middle bow. Kasi ka, our middle bow would be right here to here. Yeah. So, yun yung papracticein nyo. Again, very, very neutral yung position, kaya madalas tayo tumutugtog ng ganon. But it's the comfort that will hinder your playing. So even though it's very neutral, you still have to try and use the whole bow on some cases. But if you're playing fast, if you're playing very, very short strokes, no, try to play on the middle bow. Of course, may kanya-kanyang uses, but again, this is the very neutral ground. This is the easiest part to play. In terms of string crosses, no? In terms of strokes, and in terms of, overall tone quality, mas madali talaga siyang patunugin doon. Kasi wala masyadong scratchy sound na lalabas, hindi rin siya magtutunog super airy if you know how to control your tone. Of course, with proper bowing exercises, mapapalabas mo yung magandang tunog on the middle bow. Okay? So, when it comes to staccatos, for example, mas madali ding mag-staccatos dito. Because again, if I would do a stop, I just literally stop. Kasi konti lang in-apply kong pressure, I could easily take it off. And the same way goes, no? If I am applying a little bit of pressure because I'm over here, pag bababa ako, tatanggalin ko lang siya. So, hahanapin mo pa rin yun. Of course, saying that it's the easiest part, it doesn't really make it seem that easy kapag hindi mo siya pinractice. So you still have to practice your strokes. You still have to practice all techniques that you need in order for you to really get the most out of playing in the middle bow. No? Kasi the middle bow really offers, parang siya yung pinakamaraming neutral na ma-offer sa'yo. So meaning, you could create a lot of sounds. All you have to do is adjust the volume, no? Kasi at the other parts, at the higher parts, of course, malilimit ka. Because of, again, they're farther away or there's too much weight. So again, middle part of the bow is not necessarily the easiest part to produce the sound with, but it's the easiest part to play on. So you just have to practice your strokes. Make sure na hindi nangangalay when you're in the middle part. Kasi some people tend to overextend themselves, or minsan dahil nasa middle part, they feel na baka kapusin or baka kulangin yung bow, no? So they try to apply so much effort. But again, this is going to be your most effortless spot to play, na very relaxed ka, na magagawa mo yung gusto mong gawin na sound without thinking of, am I going to scratch? Am I going to squeak? Or is my sound going to be too airy? Or magkaroon ka ng limit because of those things. Alright? So, try your best to practice. Again, when you start at the center of gravity of your bow. and then a little bit to the uh, upper half of the bow. So hanapin mo pala yung midpoint, you start from the center of gravity and maybe until here. So try nyo practicein yun, no? Quarter note strokes, even half notes, you can do half note strokes if the half note, if the tempo of the pieces are a little bit quick, maybe you could try to slide it in. Ayan. So try your best to practice your strokes on the middle bow. Ayan. Sana nakatulong tong video na to. If it did, please do drop a like. Comment down below more content you'd like to see, and of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on all my socials, links down in the description box below. This has been Ryan Monakil for Violin Tips and Tricks, and I'll see you on the next video.